The Cincinnati Bengals suddenly have a familiar name available on the market, and this could become a very interesting depth move as the preseason continues. Khalil Herbert has been released by the San Francisco 49ers, and because he has already spent time in Cincinnati, a reunion is something worth watching. Before we get into it, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you want to keep up with Bengals news, roster moves, and everything happening as the regular season gets closer. Now, let's get to what matters. Khalil Herbert is available again. The Bengals acquired Herbert from the Chicago Bears in 2024, giving up a seventh-round pick to bring him to Cincinnati. His role was limited, but when he was needed, he gave the Bengals respectable production. Herbert finished with 28 carries and averaged 4.1 yards per attempt. He also caught 8 of 9 targets for 21 yards. Those numbers aren't spectacular, but that's not really the point here. Cincinnati wouldn't be bringing Herbert back to become its starting running back. Chase Brown is clearly the top option, while Samaje Perine gives the Bengals a more physical presence behind him. The real question is what Cincinnati has after those two. That's where Herbert becomes interesting. Depth matters over the course of an NFL season, and the Bengals could use another reliable option in that running back room. Herbert already knows Cincinnati, and Cincinnati already knows exactly what kind of player he is. Nobody should expect him to become the player he was during the best stretches of his early career in Chicago. That's not necessary. The Bengals would simply need him to provide carries when needed, give them another veteran option, and help prevent the running back room from becoming too thin. That becomes even more important when you look at the current depth chart. Taj Brooks is sitting behind Brown and Perine, and his performance against the Detroit Lions didn't exactly remove the questions surrounding that spot. Brooks had 4 carries for 11 yards and 1 catch for 8 yards. It's only preseason, so there is still time for him to show more. But Cincinnati doesn't have to stop looking for other options while evaluating the players already on the roster. The market is also becoming thinner. Najee Harris is no longer available after joining the New York Giants, and there aren't many obvious options remaining. That makes Herbert more attractive. He's available. He has already played for Cincinnati. He has already shown he can provide decent production in a limited role. And because he was recently released, this wouldn't necessarily have to be some major investment. It could simply be a depth move. That's really the entire argument. The Bengals don't need Herbert to replace Chase Brown. They don't need him to take Samaje Perine's role. They need somebody who can step in if injuries happen, or if Cincinnati needs another running back to handle carries during the season. And the Bengals already have evidence that Herbert can do that. There's also no reason Cincinnati should want Joe Burrow becoming one of the team's leading rushing options, because there isn't enough production coming from the running backs. Burrow can move when he needs to, but Cincinnati shouldn't be relying on its quarterback to carry a meaningful part of the rushing attack. Adding another experienced running back would give the Bengals another layer of protection. Herbert fits that description. While that situation develops, Cincinnati also has another important opportunity coming up with joint practices against the Chicago Bears. For the first time in a couple of years, the Bengals will get to work against another team before the regular season. Zach Taylor explained that joint practices bring a different kind of energy because players finally get to face somebody other than their own teammates. The Bengals will be able to work through normal downs, third downs, red zone situations, 2-minute drills, and other game-like scenarios. That gives Cincinnati a valuable chance to evaluate the roster. And there could be some favorable matchups. Chicago is dealing with several injuries in the secondary, including multiple starters and backups being unavailable. That creates a real opportunity for Cincinnati's receivers. Jamar Chase should have chances to take advantage, but the younger receivers may benefit even more. Dante Myers is one player worth watching after an encouraging performance against Detroit. Kobe Young is another. For players fighting for roster spots, These practices are important because they give them another chance to prove that what they showed against the Lions wasn't a one-time thing. If Chicago is forced to use more second- and third-team defenders, Cincinnati's receivers need to take advantage. The same applies on defense. Chicago is also working through issues at left tackle and trying different players at that position. That should give Bengals pass rushers an opportunity to make an impression. Myles Murphy and Cassius Howell are among the players who could benefit from those matchups. The Bengals shouldn't care why Chicago is dealing with those problems. If the opportunity is there, Cincinnati has to take advantage of it. That's what preseason evaluation is about. The Bengals need to see which players can dominate matchups they should be able to win. And while Cincinnati continues sorting through its own roster, Week 1 is already getting closer. The Bengals will open the 2026 season at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tampa Bay has several situations worth monitoring. One of the biggest involves Emeka Egbuka. Egbuka is dealing with a toe injury, and Todd Bowles described his status as day-to-day and week-to-week. When Bowles was asked whether Egbuka would be available for Week 1, he couldn't give an answer. That's significant for Cincinnati. Egbuka had a strong rookie season, and if he can't play, Tampa Bay would be missing an important receiving weapon. Mike Evans is also gone, making Egbuka's availability even more important for the Buccaneers. There are other situations developing in Tampa Bay as well. Vita Vea is looking for a new contract and has been at camp without participating while that situation remains unresolved. Baker Mayfield has also publicly discussed his contract and his desire for more money. It's still too early to know exactly how those situations will affect Week 1, but they are worth monitoring as Cincinnati prepares for the opener. That brings everything back to the Bengals and the decisions they need to make before the regular season begins. Cincinnati is evaluating young players. It is preparing for joint practices. It is watching Tampa Bay. And it still has a legitimate depth question at running back. That's why Khalil Herbert's release is worth paying attention to. This doesn't need to become a massive move. Herbert doesn't need to be a star. He simply needs to be a reliable third option behind Chase Brown and Samaje Perine. Considering his previous experience in Cincinnati and the limited options still available, that could make a reunion worth exploring. So Bengals fans, what do you think? Would you bring Khalil Herbert back and add another veteran to the running back room, or would you pass and continue evaluating the players already on the roster? And who are you most interested in watching during the joint practices against Chicago? Let me know what you think in the comments. Who Day?